I closed the envelope and placed it on the gift table, right next to the crystal vase from the Whitmores. My hands were steady, surprisingly steady for a man whose world had just shattered into 1,000 pieces. As I walked toward the exit of the Four Seasons ballroom, I heard my son's voice boom through the microphone one more time, thanking everyone except me. But when he opened that envelope later, when he saw what I'd left inside, his perfect wedding day would become something else entirely. Let me back up. My name is Robert Morrison. I'm 62 years old, and until 3 months ago, I thought I knew my son. I taught English literature at Oakwood Secondary School in Toronto for 37 years. Nothing fancy, nothing that would make headlines, but honest work, good work. I retired 2 years ago with a decent pension, $3,400 a month, plus my teacher's retirement savings. My wife Margaret passed away from ovarian cancer when Michael was just 15. Brain aneurysm. Sudden, devastating. One day, she was planning Michael's 16th birthday party. The next day, I was planning her funeral. It was just the two of us after that. Michael and me against the world. I remember the first morning without her. Michael came downstairs in his school uniform, and we both just stood in the kitchen, staring at the empty chair where Margaret used to sit with her coffee and her crossword puzzle. He looked at me with those red-rimmed eyes and asked, "Dad, what do we do now?" I told him we do what we've always done. We show up. We try our best. We take care of each other. And we did. For 18 years, we did exactly that. I taught him how to drive in Margaret's old Honda Civic, the one I couldn't bring myself to sell, for 7 years. I helped him with his university applications, stayed up until 2 in the morning proofreading his admission essays. When he got accepted to the Rotman School of Management, I cried. Actually cried, standing in our kitchen, holding that acceptance letter. I paid for his undergraduate degree by cashing out a chunk of my retirement savings. $53,000. Margaret and I had been saving that money for our retirement trip to Scotland. She wanted to see the Highlands, trace her grandmother's roots. Instead, it went to tuition, books, residence fees. I never told Michael about Scotland. Why would I? He was my investment, my purpose after Margaret died. He graduated with honors, got recruited by Sterling Whitmore and Associates, one of the biggest investment firms in Canada, making more money at 25 than I'd ever made in a year of teaching. I was so proud. I kept the newspaper clipping from the Bay Street Bulletin when they profiled Toronto's rising investment stars. Michael was featured, looking sharp in his suit, confident smile. That was 8 years ago. Things changed about 3 years ago when he met Jessica Whitmore. Yes, that Whitmore. The managing partner's daughter. Jessica was beautiful, sophisticated, educated at McGill and the London School of Economics. She was also, and I hate to say this about someone I barely knew, the exact kind of person who measures worth in dollar signs. At first, Michael would bring her to Sunday dinners at my place. I'd make my famous pot roast, the one Margaret taught me to make. Jessica would pick at her food, complimenting it while barely eating. She'd look around my 3-bedroom bungalow in North York, the same house Michael grew up in, with this expression that I can only describe as polite confusion. Like she couldn't quite understand why anyone would choose to live somewhere so ordinary. "Dad still has all his old books," Michael said once, gesturing to my floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. "Thousands of them. First editions, some of them." Jessica smiled. "How quaint. Have you thought about digitizing? So much more space efficient." The Sunday dinners became less frequent. Once a month, then every couple months, then not at all. Michael's calls became shorter. "Hey, Dad, can't talk long. Got a client dinner. Dad, sorry. Jessica and I are heading to her parents' cottage in Muskoka. Dad, it's a busy quarter." I understood. He was building a life. That's what you're supposed to do at 30. But I missed him. I missed my son. Then, 14 months ago, Michael called. He sounded excited, more animated than I'd heard him in years. "Dad, I've got news. Jessica and I are engaged. I proposed at the CN Tower, at 360 Restaurant. It was perfect. I felt this surge of emotion, joy, sadness, nostalgia all mixed together. Michael, that's wonderful. I'm so happy for you, son. Your mother would be." My voice cracked. She would be so happy. There was a pause. Yeah, she would. When's the wedding? We're thinking next summer. June. Jessica's already got a planner. Her parents are really excited. I'm excited too. Whatever you need, Michael. Whatever I can do to help. Another pause. Actually, Dad, I wanted to talk to you about that. That's when the first crack appeared. Michael explained that Jessica's parents were contributing a substantial amount to the wedding. They're thinking around $80,000, he said, and I nearly dropped the phone. $80,000 for one day? They've got the venue covered. Most of the catering, Jessica's dress, the flowers. But Dad, here's the thing, mister. Whitmore mentioned that traditionally, both families contribute equally. Equally. $80,000. Michael, I said carefully. You know I'm retired now. My pension is decent. But I know, Dad, I know. I'm not expecting 80,000. But I don't know. Maybe 40? 30? Whatever you can do. $30,000. $40,000. Said so casually, like he was asking me to chip in for pizza. Let me think about it, I said. Let me look at my finances. Sure, Dad, no pressure. Well, I mean, the wedding's in 14 months, so not immediate pressure. After we hung up, I sat in Margaret's reading chair, the one I'd reupholstered but could never get rid of, and stared at our wedding photo on the mantel. We'd gotten married at Street James Cathedral, had our reception in the church basement. Margaret wore her mother's altered wedding dress, and the whole thing cost about $2,000. We were married for 26 years. Happy years. I pulled out my financial statements. I had about $78,000 in savings, what was left after Michael's education, after Margaret's medical bills not covered by OHIP, after maintaining the house for 35 years. My pension was comfortable enough to cover my modest living expenses, but I wasn't wealthy. I'd never been wealthy. But he was my son, my only child, Margaret's boy. I decided I could do $25,000. It would take most of my liquid savings, but I'd still have my pension, still have the house. It was manageable. I called Michael back the next day. I can do $25,000, I told him. I'll need a couple months to arrange it, but I can do 25. There was a silence. Not the grateful kind. 25, he repeated. Yes. I know it's not as much as the Whitmores. Dad, Mr. Whitmore is paying $80,000. Jessica has 2 older sisters who both had weddings around that budget. If we do less, it'll look like what? Different. That word hung in the air like a judgment. Michael, I'm giving you everything I can. This is my entire savings. I understand that, Dad. I do. It's just that Jessica and I have been looking at venues, and with $80,000 from her parents and $25,000 from you, that's only $105,000 total. We're looking at venues that start at $120,000, not including, then pick a cheaper venue. Dad, these are Jessica's expectations. Her sisters got, I don't care what her sisters got. I surprised myself with the sharpness in my voice. I took a breath. I'm sorry. Michael, I'm giving you $25,000. That's more than your mother and I spent on our entire wedding. If that's not enough for Jessica, maybe you two need to reconsider what's really important here. What's really important is starting our marriage on the right foot, Michael said quietly, without looking like the poor relation. Poor relation? Is that what I'd become? I'll send you the money when you're ready, I said. $25,000. That's my contribution. I hope it helps. I hope you have a beautiful wedding, son. Thanks, Dad, he said, but he didn't sound thankful. The months rolled by. I heard from Michael occasionally brief texts, shorter phone calls. No more Sunday dinners. No invitations to the Whitmore cottage. I wasn't invited to the engagement party at the Whitmore estate in Rosedale. Just intimate family. Dad, you understand. Even though apparently Jessica's extended family, including cousins and business associates, were there. I sent my check in January. $25,000, drawn from my savings account. Attached a card, for Michael and Jessica. May your marriage be filled with as much love as your mother and I shared. With all my heart, Dad. I got a text. Got the check. Thanks. That was it. No call. No visit. Thanks. In March, I received the wedding invitation in the mail. Heavy cardstock, embossed gold lettering. Mr. and Mrs. Harold Whitmore requests the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter Jessica Catherine to Michael James Morrison. I noticed immediately. Son of the late Margaret Morrison. I wasn't mentioned. Not even as in Robert Morrison. Just Margaret, who'd been gone for 18 years. I told myself it was an oversight, a printing error. I called Michael. Voicemail. I texted, got the invitation. Beautiful. But I noticed I'm not mentioned. 3 hours later, Jessica's planner handled invitations. Traditional format lists maternal line. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'd raised him alone for 18 years, and I shouldn't worry about being erased from his wedding invitation. In May, 1 month before the wedding, Michael called. Dad, I need to ask you something. My heart jumped. Maybe he wanted me to give a speech. Walk him down the aisle. Do fathers do that? Maybe he wanted help with his vows. Jessica and I were talking, he said, and we're short about $15,000. The photographer we want is booked, but if we can pay a premium, he'll make it work. Could you? No. Silence. Dad, it's just $15,000. Just? I felt something break inside me, like ice cracking on a frozen lake. Michael, I gave you $25,000. I emptied my savings account for you. I don't have another $15,000 just sitting around. You have the house. You could get a line of credit. You want me to borrow against my house? The house you grew up in? The house your mother and I bought? It's not like you're going to lose it. You'd pay it back over time. Dad, this wedding is important to us. And my financial security isn't important. You're being selfish. I actually laughed. I'm being selfish. Your mother worked 2 jobs while pregnant with you so we could afford the down payment on this house. I taught summer school for 20 years so we could take you on vacation, send you to hockey camp, pay for your university education. I gave you every dollar I could spare, and when I say I can't give you more, I'm selfish? This isn't about money, Dad. This is about showing up for your son. I am showing up. I gave you $25,000. I'll be at your wedding, in my best suit, proud as hell of the man you've become. But I won't bankrupt myself for an overpriced photographer. Fine. Forget, I asked. He hung up. I stood there, holding the phone, shaking. My son had just hung up on me for refusing to go into debt for his wedding photographer. I didn't hear from him for 3 weeks. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, a group text went out. Michael, Jessica, and the wedding party. I was copied by mistake. I could tell because Jessica sent a follow-up text to everyone except me. Sorry, removed Robert from the chain. But I'd seen the original message. Reminder, rehearsal dinner Friday at 7 p.m. at Canoe Restaurant. Immediate family only. See you all there. Immediate family. But I wasn't invited. I texted Michael privately. Am I not invited to the rehearsal dinner? 6 hours later, Dad, it's just the wedding party. And Jessica's family? Small thing. You'll be at the actual wedding. The wedding party included Jessica's father, mother, 2 sisters, their husbands, her grandmother, 2 uncles, and several cousins who were serving as ushers. But not Michael's father. That night, I made a decision. I'd been thinking about it since the phone call about the $15,000. Maybe before that. Maybe since the invitation with my name missing. Maybe since poor relation. I went to my study, the small room where I used to grade papers, where I helped Michael with his homework, and I opened my filing cabinet. I pulled out every receipt, every record, every document I'd kept from Michael's childhood. I'm a teacher. I keep records. For the next 10 days, I compiled everything. Every dollar I'd spent on Michael, from the day he was born to his 33rd birthday. I had most of it. Margaret had been meticulous about filing, and I'd continued the habit after she died. Hospital bills from his birth, NICU charges when he had jaundice, pediatrician visits, vaccinations, his first pair of shoes, $42, clothing, diapers, formula, documented, birthday parties, Christmas presents, hockey equipment, summer camps, filed, school supplies, field trips, yearbooks, saved, orthodontic work, 3 years of receipts. His first car, a used Toyota, $6,800. Car insurance, on my policy until he was 25. Cell phone, on my family plan. Groceries, utilities, his portion of the mortgage. I calculated it. University tuition, every receipt. Residence fees, book costs. His trip to Europe after graduation, a gift, $4,000. I used a spreadsheet. I itemized everything. I categorized it. Basic necessities, healthcare, education, extracurricular, transportation, discretionary. The total came to $387,416. $387,000 to raise Michael from birth to age 33. I created a professional-looking invoice using a template online. I made it look official, businesslike. At the top, invoice for parental services rendered. Below that, from Robert Morrison to Michael James Morrison. Child rearing costs, 1991 to 2024. Then the line items, 33 years worth, each year subtotaled. At the bottom, total amount due, $387,416. And then, in bold, discount applied for early payment, negative $25,000, wedding contribution. Adjusted total, $362,416. Payment terms, due upon receipt. Failure to pay in full will result in termination of parent-child relationship, effective immediately. No refunds, no exchanges. I printed it on high-quality paper, slipped it into a cream-colored envelope that matched the wedding invitation he'd sent me. Sealed it with wax, a nice touch, theatrical perhaps, but satisfying. On the outside of the envelope, in my best handwriting, to Michael and Jessica, open at the reception. The wedding was at the fermenting cellar, this converted heritage building near the distillery district. Beautiful venue, very Jessica, very expensive. I arrived alone, wore my charcoal suit, the one I'd bought for Margaret's funeral, and had worn to every important occasion since. It still fit, mostly. The guests were mostly Whitmores and their associates. I recognized maybe a dozen people, a few of Michael's old friends from high school, a cousin from my side. Everyone else was from Jessica's world. I sat in the fourth row, not the front row, where the groom's father should sit. That seat was taken by Harold Whitmore. The ceremony began. Jessica looked beautiful. I'll give her that. Her dress probably cost more than my first car. Michael looked nervous, happy, and so much older than I remembered. When did he become this person in the expensive suit, standing at an altar that cost more than my annual pension? The officiant spoke about love and commitment, about family bringing two people together, about the support of parents and loved ones. I waited for Michael to look at me, to meet my eyes, to give me some recognition. He never did. After the ceremony, we moved to the reception hall. The decor was stunning, white roses everywhere, crystal chandeliers, tables set with china that looked like it belonged in a museum. I found my seat, table 14, near the back, between Margaret's cousin Dorothy, who I hadn't seen in a decade, and an empty chair. The head table was elevated, literally on a platform. Michael and Jessica in the center, Harold and Patricia Whitmore on one side, Jessica's sisters on the other side. No seat for me. The speeches began after dinner. Harold went first, talked about how proud he was of Jessica, how successful Michael was at the firm, how this union brought together two great families. He got choked up talking about how Michael was like the son I never had. He actually said that. Michael was like the son he never had. Michael had a father sitting at table 14 inches the back of the room. Jessica's mother spoke next. Lovely words about love and partnership, about how thrilled she was to welcome Michael into their family. Then Michael stood up. My heart pounded. This was it. Surely now he'd acknowledge me. Thank me. Anything. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight, Michael said. His voice was confident, practiced. Jessica and I are overwhelmed by your love and support. He turned to the Whitmores. To my new parents, Harold and Patricia, thank you for welcoming me into your family. Thank you for your guidance, your generosity, and your example. You've shown me what it means to be successful, to build something lasting, to create a legacy." He raised his glass. "Harold, you've been the mentor I always needed, the father figure who taught me about business, about ambition, about what's possible when you refuse to settle for ordinary. The father figure, the mentor, like I didn't exist." "To the Whitmores," Michael said, and everyone raised their glasses. No mention of Margaret, no mention of me, no mention of the man who sat up with him when he had nightmares after his mother died, who taught him to shave, to tie a tie, to change a tire, who paid for his education, his first car, his entire childhood. I was ordinary. That's what he'd said. I was ordinary, and the Whitmores were extraordinary. I stood up. Several people glanced at me, confused. Michael finally looked in my direction, his expression flickering between annoyance and embarrassment. I walked to the gift table. My envelope was still there, pressed between elaborate boxes and designer gift bags. I picked it up, walked back past table 14, past table 8, past the head table. Michael said something to Jessica, but I couldn't hear it. I stopped at the head table, right in front of Michael. "Congratulations, son," I said quietly. Only he could hear me. "I have a gift for you and Jessica. I think you should open it now, while all your new family is here." His face tightened. "Dad, can we do this later?" "Open it now." Maybe it was something in my voice. Maybe it was the fact that people were starting to notice. But he took the envelope. Jessica leaned over. "What is it?" "A gift from my father," Michael said, tearing it open. I watched his face as he pulled out the invoice, watched the confusion, then the realization, then the color draining from his cheeks. "What is this?" Jessica asked, grabbing it from his hands. "It's an accounting," I said loud enough for the nearby tables to hear. 33 years of receipts. Every dollar I spent raising the son who just told this room I was too ordinary to be his father figure. "Dad," Michael started. $387,000, I continued. "I've already deducted the $25,000 I gave you for this." I gestured around the room. "This spectacle. You owe me $362,000. Payment due immediately." After all, that's how family works, right? We keep track. We measure worth in dollar amounts. We compare contributions. "You're making a scene," Jessica hissed. "No," I said. "I'm leaving. I'm leaving before I have to watch my son pretend I don't exist for one more minute." I looked at Michael, really looked at him. "Your mother died believing you'd become a good man, a kind man. I thought I'd raised you to understand that family isn't about money or status or impressing people who measure love in square footage and price tags. I was wrong. So here's my wedding gift. A bill for services rendered and a lesson about the cost of being ordinary." I turned to walk away. "Dad, wait." Michael stood, the invoice fluttering to the floor. "Mr. Morrison," Harold Whitmore's voice boomed. "This is highly inappropriate." I looked at him. "With respect, Mr. Whitmore, you don't get to tell me what's appropriate when it comes to my son. You've been his father for what? 3 years? I've been his father for 33. And I've never asked him for anything in return until tonight. Tonight, I'm asking for what you've already taken. His respect, his acknowledgement, his memory of who raised him." I walked out. Behind me, I heard the chaos starting, raised voices. Jessica crying, Michael calling my name. I didn't look back. I drove home to my ordinary bungalow in North York, to my 3 bedrooms, and my floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, and Margaret's reupholstered reading chair. I poured myself 2 fingers of the good scotch I'd been saving, sat in Margaret's chair, and looked at our wedding photo. "I did the right thing," I said to her smile in the photograph. "Didn't I?" My phone started ringing. "Michael." I turned it off. It's been 3 months now. Michael has called 47 times, left 23 voicemails. He's come to the house 4 times. I watched through the window as he knocked, waited, eventually left. Last week, an envelope appeared in my mailbox. His handwriting on the front, inside, was a check for $25,000 and a letter. "Dad, I'm sorry. I can't pay you the full amount because you're right, it's not about money. It was never about money. I've been so focused on building the life I thought I needed that I forgot about the life I already had. Jessica and I are separated. Turns out when things got hard, when I lost my job last month for refusing to do something unethical, she wasn't interested in staying with someone who might become ordinary. Mr. Whitmore isn't returning my calls. But you know what? I kept thinking about what you said. About Mom, about being a good man. I don't know if I can be, but I'd like to try. I'd like to try to be the man you raised, if you'll let me. If it's not too late, the check is your $25,000 back. I don't want your money. I never should have asked for it. I just want my dad. I sat with that letter for 2 days. This morning, I called him. Michael? Dad? His voice cracked. Dad, I'm so sorry. Come over on Sunday, I said. I'll make pot roast. I'd like that. Michael? Yeah, Dad? Tear up the check. Keep your money. But if you come Sunday, come ready to listen. We have a lot to talk about. And then we're going to figure out how to be father and son again. It's not going to be easy, but nothing good ever is. I'll be there. I promise. I hung up and looked at Margaret's photo again. We'll see, I told her. We'll see if he means it. This Sunday will tell me everything I need to know. Whether my son learned the lesson. Whether the invoice was worth it. Whether there's a way back from betrayal. Or if some things, once broken, stay broken. But here's what I know for certain. I'm not ordinary. I'm a father who loved his son enough to demand better from him. A father who refused to let being erased become acceptable. A father who kept every receipt, not because I ever intended to use them, but because I documented every moment of loving him. And maybe that's not extraordinary by Harold Whitmore's standards. But by Margaret's standards, by my standards, it's everything. The pot roast is in the freezer, ready to thaw. We'll see if he shows up.